welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel and another episode of the podcast. My name is Erin and I, yet again, do not have a ton of stuff to show you. I have been working really hard on one specific project, which is really great for getting that project done, but it does mean that I have less stuff to show you. I'm also just kind of continuing my busy schedule. I have 2 sub days this week, so I'm trying to kind of get all my other stuff done on the days that I'm not subbing. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to say on that subject. So I'll show you what I've got, but this probably is going to be another short podcast episode. I'm really hoping that as we get towards the end of the school year and there's fewer days that I'm subbing and I have more time to work on projects and I get past some of these really big, complex projects that I need to finish, that I'll eventually have more stuff to show you. But for now, you get lots of short and sweet podcast episodes. So speaking of the project that I've been working on, the one that has been taking up a majority of my crafting time, I'm going to pull some yarn so that I can take the hook out safely. I have been working on this Virus Meets Granny shawl, and you can see that I am making a significant amount of progress. This is where I put in my stitch marker this week, and this is how far I got, which doesn't really look like that much, but considering how tiny the yarn is and how wide the row, or how long the rows are starting to get, that actually is a lot. So I finished one granny section, did an entire virus stitch section, so 3 repeats of the virus stitch pattern, and I have started my next granny section up here. I have now used 1 and a little bit of the skeins of yarn that I'm working with, although I am holding double, so if you haven't seen previous episodes of this podcast, I'll go ahead and do a brief explanation of what I'm doing. So this shawl is for a friend who's getting married, which is why it's kind of the ivory colorway, and I wanted to do something very lacy and delicate because I wanted a really cool lacy crochet piece to give her, but she does have a summer wedding, so I made sure to keep it kind of light and airy. I'm using the soft alpaca lace from Hobie in color number 45, which I believe was called Ivory, but this is what the label looks like. Each skein is 100% alpaca. It's 50 grams, approximately 400 meters or 437 yards, and this is a 0 lace weight yarn. And I am holding it double with some of their metallic tinsel thread. This comes in a bunch of colors on their website as well, and I'm holding it double to give it that sparkle effect. I also will probably block this when I'm done because you can see it's got a little bit of stretch to it, so that will make the stitches open up a little bit. But I'm actually supposed to do 2 of these. I'm also doing one for the mother of the bride as a gift, with the navy colorway of the alpaca yarn and the gold of the metallic thread. But they are taking a very, very long time. It didn't help that I procrastinated on it kind of a lot while doing other projects, but this thing is going to be my best friend until it's done. It's going to go everywhere with me. It's the only product I'm working on when I'm here at home. I do still have my travel projects or things I keep in my backpack for at school if I have time to work while subbing, depending on prep periods and stuff like that. Just because I have tried traveling with this project and it gets so incredibly tangled that it cannot survive moving from place to place. Otherwise, it would be going with me as well. But it's also a project where I have to count a lot more, so it's not the best project to take to places where I'm going to be talking to people or anything where counting in my head can't happen at the same time, if that makes sense. But I'm really proud of the progress I made. I think it's going to be super cool when it's done, and I'm really excited to do it. But since we're kind of on that subject, because the only other thing that I have to show you is a mini acquisitions and kind of a preview of the video for this week, the Friday video. This is the podcast video, so it comes out on Wednesday. But to talk about handmade gifts. And I've touched on this subject a couple times in my podcast, but I know that we as crafters tend to look to crafts first as gift ideas for people because it's something that makes us unique. It makes the gift a unique object. But I'm telling you, if you're making something like this, and this is a fairly common gift to give for weddings, but also think about like the lacy, like heirloom quality baby blankets, even things like comfort shawls. Like, I can't stress enough the importance of like making sure that the person you're giving it to is going to appreciate what you're giving. I know for a fact that the bride that I'm giving this for is going to be giving this to, as well as her mom. They're both going to be really, really excited to receive these items, so it's totally worth putting in the extra hours to get them done. But especially, like, I guess it's kind of different if you just enjoy the process and you're going to sit there and make items anyway. That if they're not well received by the recipient, if you don't care, that's fine. But really make sure that you're taking care of yourself as a fiber artist and putting in the effort for people who are going to appreciate it. I can't tell you the number of times, especially when I was younger, where I would make gifts for people or for friends and I knew that it wasn't something that they wanted. And that really stings. That was something that I learned very early not to do anymore. So I now really try to do DIY gifts with really specific requirements of who I do them for, like if there's a time limit on things, stuff like that. So again, I've talked about this before, but just, you can never have enough reminders. Be careful about gifting knit and crocheted items, and make sure that it's for someone who's going to love it and treat it well and appreciate the time and effort that you put into it. Yeah, because they're like, pieces like this can last forever if you take care of them, and can even be something that's passed down. Like on that same topic, if you looked at my Instagram this week, I posted a picture of a blanket that was given to me by my grandmother that my great-grandmother actually made, and they're still in pristine condition because they've been taken care of all these years. I think they were probably made somewhere between the like 50s and 70s. I'm not entirely sure when they were made, but it's these like giant crochet white bedspreads. I'd show you, but they're really heavy, so I don't want to pull them all down to my basement just to like take them back upstairs again. But you can check on my Instagram. I ended up getting 2 of them, so one's folded on the end of one guest bed and one is the bedspread on the other guest bed. That was a very hard sentence to say for some reason. But yeah, it shows that like if you are giving things to people that appreciate fiber arts and the artistry, those things can last a really long time and be a really special thing to pass down to future generations. But make sure you're giving it to people who will take care of them. That's kind of it on that topic. We need to move on. I did buy some yarn this week, which I wasn't fully intending to do, but I had a couple projects in mind, one of which I think actually is going to be a commission and possibly a future like craft fair item that I sell, and one that I am making for myself, but I knew with making it for myself I wanted to make it in a very specific way with yarn that I did not have. So it is what it is. I bought some yarn. I'll survive. So the yarn I bought, let's start with this set first. So these are both Big Twist cotton. This yarn is 85% cotton, 15% polyester. It's about 144 yards, 132 meters, and it's 75 grams. I got this in the color Sage and the color Beige, so those 2 colors. And I'm going to be making something that I saw go sort of viral on TikTok. I kind of measure viral knit and crochet projects by how many people send it to me and if those people are also crafters. So this was a project that for some reason I got sent this TikTok video or Instagram reel a bunch of times by people who are not crafters. So somehow this video circulated amongst other circles, which kind of tells me that it was viral. But it was a little set of coasters where you made each coaster look like a monstera leaf, and then there was a little flower pot to hold all the coasters, and when you put all the leaf coasters inside the pot, it looks like a little potted plant. So I will be making one of those, but I actually have a friend who wants to purchase it, so that kind of made it worth it to get the really specific colors that would look nice. There was also something I noticed when I was looking for cotton yarn, because usually when I get cotton yarn, I use the Lily Sugar and Cream cotton. They do not have a good sage green, at least at my local Joann's. Maybe there's more colors online, but they did not have a sage green. I could pick from like a lime green, a forest green, or like an almost teal color, but they did not have a good sage. So I thought I was going to leave Joann's without the yarn for this project until I remembered that they had the big twist cotton. At my Joann, it's on a little end cap. So I was really glad I found those because it had the actual perfect colors that I wanted. So if you've encountered that before too, I think that the big twist cotton is a pretty good substitute, although I think this is, it says this is a 4-weight, and I know Lily Sugar and Cream is also listed as a 4-weight. This is quite a bit thinner, at least to me, compared to Lily Sugar and Cream. It's also softer a little bit, but it is on the thinner side for a 4, whereas I think the Lily Sugar and Cream is on the thicker side of a 4. So just keep that in mind if you're purchasing cotton yarn, but if you're looking for these two specific colors, this is a great find compared to the Sugar and Cream cotton. I can never remember what order the like Lily Sugar and Cream phrase is to describe that yarn. I always want to mix it up, so I always pause before I say it so that I can make sure to say those words in the right order. And honestly, I'm still not sure that I am saying them in the right order because I don't have it in front of me. I also know there's like a Peaches and Cream cotton yarn, and I don't know if that's the same brand, but you know, the cotton yarn that every craft store has is the one I'm talking about, but this big twist one is specific to Joann. The other yarn I got is also cotton, and this is the Bernat Softy Baby Cotton in the color Feather Gray, although it looks beige to me. Like, it's very close in color to the beige from the big twist. It's just slightly lighter. So I'm not really sure why this is called gray. It just looks like a creamy beige to me. But this is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. This one's labeled as a 3, and it is thinner than the big twist cotton, but only by like a hair. So that just kind of shows you that different yarn companies, even though they're all using the same weight system, can label things differently. What else do you need to know about this yarn? It's 254 yards a skein. Yeah. I got these to make fairy wings. If you remember from the last podcast, I collected some wire hangers to make some fairy wings, and this is the color that I decided I wanted to do my first pair of wings in because it matches one of the base dresses that I have for my Renaissance Fair costume. I got a cheap one on Amazon. If you're on like Renaissance Fair TikTok, it was all over the place for a while. It's a like smocked dress with like puffy sleeves, and then you can wear stays or a corset over it, and it looks very like casual Ren Fair. But I wanted wings to match that dress because I use that dress as the base of most of my costumes now. But I also liked the idea of doing my first pair of wings in a neutral color so that I can add some removable accessories to the wings that don't have to be a part of the permanent design. So in this case, because I have friends who are planning on doing the steampunk day at our local Renaissance Fair, I'm going to add some gears on little clips or lobster clasps to the wings just to like add that steampunk element, but be able to take them off at the end. So this is the yarn that I purchased for that. And the last thing I've got to show you today, I'm actually going to show you an old project first. So if you have watched any other videos on my channel, you've probably seen this, because this is the tiny little hexagon cardigan from my hexagon cardigan tutorial. Actually, my model for that project is sitting right behind my camera, so I'll get that out. But I made this for this little teddy bear just to show kind of the shaping method for hexagon cardigans and how it works. But it is, I believe, other than one video, one of the most popular videos on my channel. So definitely shows that you can show how to make things on a small scale and the tutorial will still work for people. But I am actually in the process of making another hexagon cardigan tutorial. I do have that original hexagon cardigan as well as a short-sleeved granny stitch hexagon cardigan and a moss stitch or linen stitch hexagon cardigan tutorial on my channel. And I have created the first half of another design. So this one is inspired by the farmhouse granny square pattern, which is all over the place on Pinterest if you want to look for a free pattern. There's also plenty of videos here on YouTube showing you how to do just the granny square version. But this week, or not this week, I have a different video for this week. Sometime soon, you will get a full tutorial on how to make the farmhouse hexagon cardigan. And I'll be using that little teddy bear model again, just so that I can make a small one and be able to film it all in one sitting. I do have plans to make one of those cardigans for myself in full size, but I need to finish these guys first. So that's kind of all the updates for this week. I really didn't do much crafting other than the Virus Meets Granny shawl, as well as the video you're going to see this week. I will be releasing a video on how I set up a fairy garden in my yard, or actually it's more of a gnome garden. But you'll see in the video I actually had to take it all down because we got a snowstorm literally minutes after I stopped filming the video. So I set it all up for the purposes of showing you and then took it all down. So you'll have to watch my Instagram to see those things go back up. Hopefully I can put them up later this week. It's supposed to be really warm on Friday. And I wanted that video to go up on St. Patrick's Day because it felt very St. Patrick's Day to be setting up a fairy garden or a gnome garden. But it is actually supposed to be warm on St. Patrick's Day. So fingers crossed that I can reset my fairy garden and have it out in time for St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of the podcast. Sorry it's a short one again. That's just kind of how it's going to be for a little while. But thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here today and want to see more videos, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you can be notified of all of my crafty things that I'm doing. And if you'd like to follow me on other social media, namely TikTok and Instagram, that information will be in the description box below as well. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.